Does God exist? Is the Bible reliable? We're going to be talking about all of that today on Word Jams. It's okay to have those big questions. It doesn't mean you lack faith. The best of Christians had those questions. People like John the Baptist, he had some of those questions. There was doubting Thomas, who was one of Jesus' disciples. Sometimes we as Christians, we're just like, help our unbelief. We just want to have affirmation that the truth we have held on to for this long is in fact real, and it's okay to have those big questions. Any religion that prevents you from asking those big questions, you can know right off the bat is wrong. God can handle your big questions. But let's look a little bit about some of the evidence. Number one is that the universe is so finely tuned and things are so precise and so perfectly in place that there has to be a designer. It's something to ponder about, and atheism just leads to random chance, but we see order in the universe. The very fact that us humans can drive cars, fly planes, and be artists, that shows order. So that's one thing. And then another thing about whether or not the Bible is reliable is all the prophecies that you see in the Bible. They all, lead to the common conclusion. It didn't just suddenly arrive. It was written by people who were inspired by God, and they all arrived at the same conclusion that none of their claims were contradictory. They all pointed to the coming Messiah. That's some of the archaeological evidence to prove that the Bible is real. A stele is sort of a monument, an ancient monument, and it's a stone. It's erected in ancient world as a monument, is what it is. And there's one in Tel Dan, Israel. It's the earliest known and extra-biblical archaeological reference to the house of David. It was discovered in 1993 in northern Israel. The Pool of Siloam, it was discovered in 2004 during sewer construction in Jerusalem. People know the story of the Pool of Siloam where Jesus healed a blind man. In John chapter 9, verse 8, he told him to go and wash his eyes in the Pool of Siloam. The Dead Sea Scrolls, found between 1947 and 1956 in the Qumran caves. These ancient manuscripts include portions of every Old Testament book except Esther. They date back to the 2nd century and provide a near contemporary textual witness to the Hebrew scriptures. Pontius Pilate, who gave the order to have Jesus sentenced to death, he was the governor of Judea. In the year 1961, in Caesarea Maritima, a stone was found in the inscription, the bone box of the Caiaphas, the high priest. He played a role in the crucifixion of Jesus. It was discovered in 1990. It was discovered in southern Jerusalem in the Peace Forest area. Now it's in the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. And stories took place in real times in history, real events, real national leaders. Non-biblical accounts. Josephus, he was also someone who can testify to these claims. Christian worldview is grounded in history. Why doesn't God just show himself? Why does he keep us wondering? Here's one solid answer that I've found is that faith proves commitment. There were people in Jesus' day who saw everything. They saw all the miracles he had performed. But that did not make them commit to Jesus. And that's ultimately what God wants, is commitment. The Pharisees, they had seen miracles firsthand. They were eyewitnesses of the miracles Jesus had performed, but they were the ones who ended up crucifying him, right? So just because you have knowledge of something and just because you see it doesn't mean that you will commit. And that's ultimately what God wants. There's also the story of all the angelic beings who had a lot of knowledge of God, but they still ended up rebelling against him. There was a rebellion in the heavens where Lucifer he was cast down to the earth. As the verse that says, Jesus said, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. It's commitment that God wants. It's only through faith that we are able to have that kind of commitment that God wants. And that one day we will have all the answers. And you want to make sure that you are on God's side when all is revealed. One day, every single person, the truth will be revealed. And you want to make sure that you're on his side. There's no second chance after death. It's appointed for man to die once, and then the judgment. That one day every knee will bow. Every tongue will confess that he is Lord. Faith proves commitment, and it proves that you're on God's side. Nothing, even life itself here, is worth trading for your soul. So, like the man who found the pearl of great price, he sold all that he had in order to get this treasure. And that's what God wants, is having a relationship with him. Pray, seek out, ask him to reveal himself, ask him to show himself, and he will. The mistake Adam and Eve made in the Garden of Eden is that they chose to go their own way, but when you choose to go your own way, it separates you from God, right? That relationship that you have with God is shattered. You live life on your own terms, you go your own way, and that's what God wants you to avoid. He doesn't want you to make that mistake. But when we can just trust that he is who he says he is, and he is the rewarder of those who diligently seek him, he will reveal himself to you in his timing. This was just an intro. I hope to do more research soon and give people a better answer and information about this answer, because apologetics is so important. People can look at evidence like historical and archaeological evidence, and you can see that so much of the Bible is rooted in history. You can see prophecies that ended up coming true. You can see a universe that is so fine-tuned. You can see order in the world around us. And you gotta wonder, how did this all come about? It does prove design. It proves that. And when you also see the problem of evil in this world, and you see a fallen world, it asks the question, why did God create a fallen world? And the answer is, maybe it wasn't his intention. That was not his first plan, to create a world that was disordered, but he created man to be alongside him, but he also gave us free will. And with that free will, humans chose to go their own way. And as a result, it led to disorder in sort of a spiritual sense, and where we have a world that is full of natural disasters and all that stuff, and disease and death and violence and evil. And that wasn't God's intention. And so when you see that world, you can also see it in our hearts, what we've been responsible for. That we might not have literally killed someone, but have we had hatred in our hearts? That shows that our hearts are evil. Have we ever told lies? Have we ever looked at someone? Have we ever done any of those things? Yes, we have. And it shows that our hearts bear that fallen nature. God saw that. And he sent his one and only Son, Jesus Christ, into the world to pay the price for this fallen world and redeem it back to himself, so that all could be restored to relationship with Jesus Christ. That's the gospel message. So if you have those questions, please ask more, like and subscribe to this video, leave your comments on it. I'll see you on the next episode of the Word Jams podcast.